Okay, so we'll go through just the standard like tank division that you could make if you're doing it a bit low effort, and then you can do, or I'll go through like a bit of a heavy design. I probably wouldn't really recommend heavy tanks anyway, just because they're very expensive and like not necessarily worth it. But again, you have fun, so do whatever you want. And this is kind of like the rough techs you would have around 38, 39. It's not meta. It's just like this stuff will work though, especially in like it'll work in single player. In terms of the techs, got your first armored car, engineers 2, maintenance 2, these kinds of techs. Let's just assume you've got this stuff as well. And then we've got some of the radios. So the first thing you should do, take your interwar light tank chassis, smack a flamethrower on it, 1-man turret, wheeled suspension, riveted armor. You want to go easy maintenance because that's going to make it the production cost even cheaper. And then set that as a flame support company. And that's what we're doing. So you want to have this. Obviously, the easy maintenance is optional if you don't have the XP. But having a flame tank is really good for the terrain bonuses it gives you. Now, this time you have a question. Why not go for medium flame tanks? It's more expensive, but has better bonuses. You absolutely can. I've had this question come up before. Why go for like light flame tanks instead of medium? So if you look at the difference in bonuses here, forest, extra 5%, hills is the same, mountains is the same, urban, extra 5%, jungle, extra 5%, marshes is the same. The fort attack is doubled, movement's the same. River attack is the same, and amphibious is the same. For argument's sake as well, let's have a look at if we go the interwar medium tank chassis. This is basically a Churchill crocodile. So production cost wise, it's about 50% more expensive for like double of some of the attack stats. As Germany, you can afford a tank this cheap. Like the other thing to look at too, heavy flamers are really not worth it. The bonuses they give are like the same as the mediums. They're actually less than the mediums. If you're making flame tanks to put on your tank design specifically, then go for the mediums because as you say, the extra attack you get on forts is better. The extra attack in like urban, the extra attack in like forest and stuff. So a lot of the terrains where your tanks are going to be fighting, you actually get more of a benefit from having the medium flame tank. That being said, if you don't have as strong of an industry, or if you just want to make something like really dirt cheap, you can go for the interwar, like the light flame tank. If you're making them specifically for the purpose of putting them on marines, which is like the main reason I use these things, then the light flame tanks gives you the same bonuses for amphibious invasions and river crossings. Okay, here's a good way of putting it. For special forces, light flame tanks. For your tank divisions, medium flame tanks. Well, there you go. So either of those designs is going to be worth it. Just make it as cheap as possible. I mean, I won't really go into a light tank design because I get a little bit carried away. But if you're making like a medium tank, most of the time you are really just pushing infantry. So chuck a howitzer on there. Always go for the 3-man turret because the breakthrough it gives you is like insane for like more production cost. Especially when you get to improved radio, always put your radio on. For armor, I always just leave it as riveted. And then I really like the interleaved road wheels because the breakthrough is like, it gives you extra breakthrough, which is then multiplied by your radio. If you have the stabilizer, it's worth chucking that on there. Otherwise, like easy maintenance is good because it reduces your production cost and increases reliability. And then I like to put a small cannon on. Honestly, you can kind of leave it at this. Sloped armor isn't bad, it does increase it, but again, like it increases the production cost, which offsets the maintenance. You could put extra ammo storage on there for like more breakthrough, but again, it reduces your reliability. I like to get the speed up to like between 6 to 8, just makes them a little bit better to break through, right? And your reliability, anywhere between 70 to 80% is good. Yeah, it's up to you. You can, like, this is just a base for you to, like, use as a starting point. I generally don't really add extra armor. I like 8Ks an hour just because, like, it's twice as fast as an infantry division, so it makes getting encirclements easier. Like, having speed in your units is a bit contentious because some people are like, oh, like, you don't break through as often. But, like, in single player, you do. You break through a lot. So if you can make a breakthrough and quickly exploit it, that's good. Now, for a heavy tank, my approach with a heavy tank is if you're already going to be making something that's expensive, you may as well go all out. I would actually chuck the medium cannon on there. If you make a heavy tank like this, it's a bit of a jack of all trades. It can push through infantry, but it can also counter enemy armor because it has high piercing and it's going to have like higher armor. So again, chuck your radio on there. The only thing is, don't set it as a tank destroyer because then it loses all its breakthrough. Add on the small cannon again, like just for the extra soft attack. And then this is where it really benefits from sloped armor and the easy maintenance because your production cost is going to be so high. Easy maintenance really comes into it. Again, you can go without easy maintenance if you have like the production. You can put like the squeeze bore adapter for more piercing, or even extra ammo storage for a bit more breakthrough. Even a dozer blade for entrenchment. It's a bit more of a defensive tank if you're countering enemy armor. So entrenchment can be handy. It's up to you. You can leave it fucking empty if you want. Again, interleaved road wheels or the production cost increase, like extra breakthrough is always worth it. And then here you either want to go welded or cast armor. I mean, I pretty much just always leave it on gasoline. The diesel engine isn't bad though, to give you like that bit more reliability to upgrade your other modules. I want my armor to be higher than my own piercing by about 10 to 15. Because if you think about like the kind of enemy tanks you're coming up against, you know, you kind of need, like, you're countering yourself in a way, I guess. That's how I like to think about it. Or for a new player, that's a good way. That's a kind of a good guide of like, what should my armor be? What should my piercing be? Like, imagine if your tank was coming up against itself, would it be able to beat itself off? You know what I mean? You can basically take this as a basis and run with it. Like, we can even drop our armor down a little bit to get some of that reliability and speed back. Around 6Ks for a heavy tank is fine. That's one thing though, right? The cost increase. Your heavy tank is almost like 3 times more expensive than your medium. And for like, are the stats that much better? 25 soft attack, 40 soft attack. 60 piercing though. So it's like your piercing is the real difference there, as well as the armor. Like, this tank would not be able to pierce this tank. You could even like mix and match your templates if you wanted to. I mean, the world's your oyster, man. If I'm making a low effort tank design, it's going to be a medium. And then honestly, ideally you want mechanized, but for argument's sake, we'll start off with motorized because it's cheaper. Motorized AA. And then for the support companies, more AA, support artillery, and then that medium flame company. From here, you can add logistics to decrease your supply use a little bit. Optional. Honestly, you can do without engineers for an attacking tank division, because the only thing you're really getting the benefit for attacking is attacking on forts, movement in rivers. The defense stuff is really good for if you've got like an anti-tank division. So then it's probably worth popping engineers on. Yeah, signal companies are good too. So signal companies add initiative that just like increases the way, like how quickly it will join a battle. Signals are optional. I mean, it doesn't hurt to add them on, that's for sure. Before I see the people coming in the comments and like in chat being like, oh, the organization's too low. We don't have any doctrines. Let's say like even just this many doctrines, right? Quite basic. The org's now up to like almost 40, which is like, you want your org to sort of be a minimum of like 30, 35. I'd say for a tank division, you want your org to be like 40 plus ideally. But I mean, at this level, it's okay, because as we get more doctrines unlocked, the org's going to increase. So yeah, this is a pretty good like default tank template. It's going to give you like plenty of soft attack, plenty of breakthrough. Again, you're not necessarily using this for defense, but it can stop an enemy attack if they do start to push you. Yeah, you've got like the motorized anti-air is really good to reduce, like it's going to fuck up enemy CAS. 77 air attack. The only planes that are going to be able to survive attacking this is like a fucking strat bomber that's decked out with all armor plates. It's so heavy it barely takes off. You'd make a case this is slightly too much org. See, I actually am a fan of having a lot more org in your divisions, especially once you have a breakthrough. Let's pretend that this front line here with Poland, right? We break through here, our tanks push the division back, and then our tanks push into this tile, and then our divisions push into this tile, and I'm like, cool, I actually want to run all the way up around here and encircle this entire pocket of troops. If I have low org, the further on my tanks go, and the more battles they get into, the lower their org's going to be before they have to like stop and retreat, or before they have to like stop and regroup. But then if they do have to do that, you might not be able to close that pocket, and you kind of like lose the opportunity a little bit. And not only that, if your tanks do get out here and you're like me and you're a fucking idiot, and then you don't protect like your lines and you actually get encircled, if your tanks have run all the way out here and they've got like 10 org left, there's a high chance they'll be destroyed before you can actually save them. But I 100% agree with you. I think that like you can get away with having less because, you know, if you're playing properly and not being silly like me. But the reality is a lot of new players do silly things, and we've all been there, and I still do it. This is a pretty basic, like, this is sort of standard. What I would say is take this general design and then work off that. and you can customize it. You can take away the AA. You can add more tanks. You can add tank destroyers. You can add mobile AA. I would say even better is to have, instead of motorized, have mechanized. Just like, look how much better the stats are if this is all mechanized. They give piercing apparently. An extra like almost 300 defense, an extra 60 heart attack. This is going to be more ideal. For a heavy tank division, I always have the inclination to make the heavy tank template a bit smaller just because they're so fucking expensive. It takes ages to make them. 360 heavy tanks is going to take a long time and a lot of production to make. It's just basically the same though, honestly. Like, the stats don't seem that much better because, again, like, this heavy tank design is more for countering enemy tanks and also pushing through. But then this is the case where it's worth adding like motorized artillery on. You're still having a lot of air attack. Like, honestly, with these ones, 22.5 air attack just from the support AA is still a good amount. This is going to be a really good like jack of all trades, heavy tank design, still getting a lot of soft attack for like pushing through infantry, while at the same time giving you like, you know, enough speed to exploit encirclements and stuff like that. And yeah, again, not meta. I fucking hate meta. We've been over this a million times. But yeah, again, this will work in single player. You've got the medium flame companies for the terrain bonuses. But yeah, if you want like a light tank division, something like this, a little bit cheaper, it's going to work really well, fast. You can just zip through those lines against the AI. The motorized as well, motorized and mechanized, you're going to need those to fill like the gaps. Like if you make a breakthrough, you're going to need like divisions to come through and stop you getting encircled again. But infantry are too slow to do that. So just have like maybe a 1-to-2 ratio of like motorized and mechanized to each tank division. Even in the same army works fine, and they'll stop you getting encircled or losing your good divisions. So yeah, hope that helps you out. Oh yeah, sorry, you can use cavalry for that as well, actually. You can use a cavalry division. Their speed is not quite as fast, but it's cheaper. Cavalry in a pinch, like if you don't have the equipment for the motorized and mechanized, just make like a 20 width cavalry division and have them go in there. So yeah, that also works. But yeah, hope that guys helped you out. And then, I need a fucking drink. Give me a second. Wow.
Nice.